The story begins in a hot classroom, where the male lead slumps in his chair, exhausted and annoyed. Suddenly, a cool breeze blows in, rustling the curtain. Instantly refreshed, he jumps up, throws his arms in the air, and overcome with joy, yells at the wind to blow harder. Just then, Sakurai-san approaches, laughing at his antics, making him instantly flustered. Embarrassed, he stiffens as she teases him, even mimicking his dramatic outburst just to rub it in. When she leans in closer, giggling at his reaction, his face turns an even deeper shade of red. Trying to regain his composure, he curiously asks why she's still here despite it being lunchtime. Sakurai, casually sipping her energy drink, pretends to think, and then, with a sly smile and a flushed face, challenges him to guess instead. Panic sets in, his mind jumps to the possibility that she stayed because of him. But as soon as the thought forms, he catches sight of her and, flustered, quickly looks away, convincing himself that it can't possibly be the reason. She inches closer, a playful smile on her face, about to reveal why she's here. But her sudden closeness sends him into a blushing, panicked mess. Just as he prepares himself, she leans in and whispers, "It's a secret." His eye twitches. A secret? After all this? Frustrated, he demands an answer, but seeing his flustered state only makes her laugh harder, clearly having the time of her life. She leans in, casually placing the juice straw in his mouth. His face heats up, but before he can react, she slyly mentions she drank from it too. Flustered, he chokes, juice spilling from his mouth and nose. She quickly moves closer, scolding him for his carelessness while wiping his face. With their faces just inches apart, his embarrassment reaches its peak, leaving him completely frozen. She moves closer, teasing him to guess why she's there. With a playful, almost romantic air, she hints at something incredible, making him blush even more at her proximity. Before he can react, Sakurai's friends arrive, apologizing for being late and suggesting lunch. She immediately turns to them, but when he calls her in shock, she turns back. Seeing his panicked, flustered state, she leans in even closer, whispering in his ear with a sly smile, suggesting they meet next time. As she waves and leaves, he stands frozen, his face burning red, utterly embarrassed and confused. At the cafe, she sips her juice happily while her friends, puzzled by its odd taste, question her choice. She first admits she didn't like it at first, but then smiles, confessing that she enjoys it now because it helps her get noticed. The next day after school, around 4:25 p.m., in the quiet library, Sakurai-san softly calls out to Mako-kun, making him jump as she stands there clutching her book. With a gentle tone, she politely asks him to help her study. Nearly an hour passes, but her notebook is still blank. Mako, sweating and clearly confused, fidgets with his pen and tries to steer her attention toward the time. Meanwhile, she casually ties two ponytails using the strings from his shorts, more interested in playing around than focusing. Flustered, embarrassed, and visibly frustrated, he finally bursts out, pleading with her to study seriously. But Sakurai just laughs, amused by his reaction, already bored with the whole idea of studying. As she giggles, he loosens his hair in defeat, wondering why she even asked him for help when there are so many smarter students around. But he freezes, completely caught off guard as she suddenly steps closer. Her face flushed and smile soft, she reveals the true reason she chose him, simply because being around him feels easy. The quiet confession stuns him, while she, watching his dazed reaction, just smiles with quiet affection. As she casually caps her pen, she curiously asks if he has figured out the answer to her earlier question. His helpless expression earns him a playful scolding, but before he can respond, she excitedly hands him an exercise booklet, claiming it holds the key to the answer. Motivated, he takes it seriously, determined to solve the mystery. But as he reads the first question, "Who is Sakurai-san talking to?" he freezes. The answer is obvious. It's him. Glancing at her in shock, she simply smiles and nods, treating it as the easiest question of all. He writes his name, but the second question throws him off. With which boy does she feel the happiest? Deep in thought, he hesitantly asks if it might be Takahisa-kun. She agrees at first, but then, after a moment of mock thinking, she glances at him with a flushed smile and excited eyes, quietly revealing that it's also him she loves spending time with. His face turns red instantly, completely thrown by her unexpected honesty. She urges him to quickly solve the third question, her favorite drink. When he folds his arms and starts thinking seriously, she looks slightly disappointed, finding it far too easy to need such effort. Then, with a playful smile, she reveals that her favorite drink is the same as his. He stares at her, completely stunned and confused. As he flusteredly asks how she even noticed his preferences, she nods with growing excitement, then steps in closer to explain why she's been observing him so closely. Her closeness makes his heart race. He's red-faced, overwhelmed, and on the verge of losing his composure. But just then, she suddenly stands up, her expression tense. She starts packing her bag, explaining she has other things to do. It's getting late. As she reaches the door, she waves back at him. But he, still caught in a whirl of emotions, calls out, asking what she had been about to say. She walks back toward him with a mysterious smile. Instead of answering, she gently places a finger on his lips, whispering that it's a secret, and suggests they study again tomorrow. With that, she turns and leaves, while he remains standing there, cheeks flushed, mind spinning, lost in the mystery of yet another secret. The next day, as Mako-kun calmly walks through the school corridor, he becomes shocked to hear Sakurai-san excitedly and smilingly call out to him. Noticing his confused expression, she grabs his shirt and eagerly suggests studying in the courtyard to change the vibe, still holding her energy drink. Now sitting in the courtyard under the large shady tree, she seriously focuses on solving the problems. After preparing for the test, she becomes visibly excited and happy, especially when he appreciates her hard work. She humbly thanks him for helping her study, but he casually brushes it off. Then, while shifting the topic, he curiously asks about her reason for choosing the courtyard today. She calmly explains that for tomorrow's test, she wants a peaceful spot with no distractions. Then, excited and cheerful, she takes out a dessert as a reward for his help. Without noticing his reaction, she blushes and gently tells him to open his mouth. Though flustered and embarrassed, he struggles to keep his composure. But as she insists eagerly, he finally leans forward and takes the first bite. The sweet surprise leaves him speechless, his cheeks turning a deep crimson. When she shyly asks how it tastes, he simply nods, still overwhelmed, while she beams with joy, adding that it has a strong aftertaste. In the excitement, she accidentally grabs his energy drink instead of hers. He tries to stop her, panicking, but before he can speak, she affectionately takes a sip. Afterward, she looks at him curiously, asking if he said something. He, stunned and panicking, informs her that she drank his drink. Realizing the mistake is real, she smiles awkwardly and apologizes, then shyly offers her own drink in return, making him even more flustered. Seeing his panicked expression, she insists he drink it. Sweating and blushing, he finally takes a sip. When she asks how it tastes, he's completely flustered, especially when she affectionately sips from the same straw, her face flushed. Holding her juice, she says she feels the same way. Noticing his deep blush, she tells him not to move, then places her hand on the table next to his, leans in, and gently wipes the juice from his face with her handkerchief. Without waiting for his reaction, she quickly packs her bag, explaining she has to meet her friends and wishes him luck for the test. She waves and leaves. As she joins her friends, she asks if they've studied well. They confidently confirm their preparation, promising perfect scores. One friend, teasing, asks if she has a boyfriend, noticing her blushing. Her half-confession, it might be better if she did, stuns them all. One of her friends even fainted from shock. Sakurai-san recalls their first meeting on a rainy day when she stood under the shelter, irritated at the sky, not wanting to get wet. She remembered the entrance ceremony when she was looking for a drink and made a face at the weird energy drink. She was shocked when Mako-kun excitedly showed it to his friend, who looked disgusted. Despite this, he picked it up again. That was when she first noticed him. After that, she couldn't help but follow him, impressed by his kindness toward others. Whenever he passed by her, sipping the same energy drink, her eyes followed him. Lost in thought, standing outside the school, she was shocked when Mako-kun approached her with a smile and offered his umbrella. Still seeing her confused, he introduced himself as Makoto Masuno, her classmate. Smiling, he explained he always carries an extra umbrella for rainy days and quickly moved away after handing it to her. Holding the umbrella tightly, her face flushed crimson, she watched him walk away, feeling a strange affection. After that, she started drinking the same weird energy drink. The next day, when she saw Mako-kun, she thanked him for the umbrella, but he humbly brushed it off. Noticing the black coffee can in his hand, she curiously asked why he wasn't drinking his usual energy drink. He sadly admitted that although he liked it, he found it weird, so he stopped drinking it. Her loud laughter, so genuine it brought tears to her eyes, made him smile. She then offered him her energy drink, and from there they began talking casually, greeting each other in the mornings and chatting about different topics whenever they hung out. One day, when she came very close to him, he became flustered and blushed. Realizing her feelings for him, she suddenly asked him, her face crimson, about his type of girl, which left him panicked. The next day, as she sits outside in the rain, he approaches her again, happily offering her the umbrella. With a smile, she eagerly grabs his hand, and they walk together under it. It's a busy day at the market when Makoto-kun enters, placing his ID card in his pocket. He's shocked to see Sakurai-san excitedly calling him over, declaring it a coincidence. Confused, he looks at her as she eagerly asks about his purpose for being at the market. He simply replies that he's there to buy a book. Sakurai-san, noticing his answer, steps closer to confirm if he only plans to buy one thing. She grabs his hand playfully, making him blush even more, and innocently suggests they shop together. As they walk, she shares her excitement about meeting him for the first time since summer break. Makoto-kun, still surprised, mentions how he almost didn't recognize her in her casual dress. This makes her strike a pose, shyly asking how she looks in the outfit. After a moment of thinking, he compliments her, saying she looks just like herself. She's disappointed, feeling his answer doesn't make much sense. As they continue through the market, she excitedly asks if he has any plans for the vacation. He casually denies it, mentioning he prefers staying home and playing games. When he asks her the same question, she calmly responds that although she plans to visit some places, she hasn't gone out yet. They enter the women's clothing section, and she excitedly browses beach outfits. She shares her desire to go to the beach while wearing one of them. As she eagerly checks out different options, she turns to him and asks for his opinion, making him flustered. He panics when she holds up a very short beach outfit and, embarrassed, stumbles through his words, awkwardly saying that it would suit her. Smiling, she takes the outfit and, placing it in front of her, teasingly asks if she should try it on for him. This makes him blush even more. Then, noticing a men's beach outfit, she excitedly offers it to him to try on as well. He sweats nervously and loudly denies, embarrassed by her playful teasing. They buy ice cream, and once again, as he reminds her that he's only looking for a notebook, she drags him to the men's section, suggesting he try on a shirt. A few hours later, they're sitting in the park as evening sets in. Makoto hands her a cold drink and asks why she visited the supermarket. She briefly forgets, but then excitedly reveals that she's having a date with him today. He's shocked, his eyes widening and his heart races. Confused, he looks at her, wondering if he misheard, but when he sees her blushing and smiling, she calmly places her hand on his. The simple gesture makes him blush deeply. She leans closer to him, flustering him further, and with a shy smile, she suggests he take her on a real date tomorrow. He pauses, trying to process it, and then, with a crimson face, he agrees to invite her to the beach, as she's been wanting to go there. That night, Sakurai sits nervously in her bed, staring at her cell phone screen, turning over and waiting eagerly for his call. On the other side, Makoto is pacing nervously in his room, glancing at his phone. He hesitates, unsure whether to call her for the date, afraid it might be awkward. But after some inner debate, he unintentionally taps the screen and calls her. He's startled when she picks up immediately. Both of them are blushing. Makoto's eyes widen in shock when he sees her in her nightdress, and they both shout in embarrassment. He realizes he accidentally initiated a video call, and she nervously tells him not to look at the screen until she's ready. He quickly turns his phone around, apologizing for the mistake. She, now in her sweater, suggests that he should inform her first if he wants to do a video call, and he apologizes again. Back on the call, she nervously asks about the reason for his call. Makoto, panicking, tries to invite her on a date. She excitedly smiles and asks if he has a specific place in mind. When she completes her sentence, saying she wants to go to the same place he wants, he blushes, his heart racing. Finally, gathering all his courage, he blurts out, asking if she would like to go to the beach with him sometime. He immediately closes his eyes in nervousness, slightly opening them to check her reaction. She smiles, gives him a victory sign, and tells him to look forward to her swimsuit. Blushing even more, he agrees and she ends the call. Makoto exhales deeply, still red-faced as he thinks about their upcoming date. Meanwhile, Sakurai affectionately looks at his profile picture after hanging up, her heart racing. On a sunny day, Makoto arrives at the beach, holding a beach umbrella, feeling both excited and embarrassed as he thinks about Sakurai. He wonders if she might have feelings for him too, but quickly dismisses the thought, thinking it's impossible. Lost in his thoughts, he's snapped back to reality when she, wearing a beach outfit, excitedly calls out to him, apologizing for being late. He is shocked by her appearance, and she, noticing his confusion, explains that she chose the outfit based on his suggestion. Blushing, she asks for his thoughts on her look. Trying to compose himself, he grabs his bag, and after a moment of admiration, he tells her she looks great, making her smile and blush. She then casually takes his hand, eager to enjoy the day with him, while he wonders if she really likes him. As he sets up the beach umbrella, he gets distracted by the sound of a boy applying lotion to a girl, making him embarrassed and puzzled. She approaches from behind, angrily asking what he's looking at. He, flustered, stammers an explanation. She, teasing him, stretches his cheeks and calls him a pervert, then unexpectedly asks if he finds lotioning so fascinating that he'd like to apply some to her. He, shocked and panicked, shouts in disbelief, unsure of how to do it and feeling the situation is something only couples would do. He nods in a dazed confusion, making she burst into laughter, thoroughly enjoying his embarrassment. Realizing she was only joking about the lotion, he nearly clutches his heart. He had almost mistaken it for something more. As he tries to recover, she hands him an inflatable inner tube, coming close and playfully asking him to blow it up while she applies her sunscreen. Struggling to inflate it, he watches her laugh at his exaggerated expressions, making him even more flustered. Later, out in the water, Sakurai sits on the tube and urges him to swim faster. Though exhausted, he obeys, still wondering if she enjoys teasing him more than the beach itself. Suddenly, a large wave approaches. In a flash, the tube flips and she tumbles into the water. Instinctively, he grabs her and pulls her close, checking if she's all right. But when their bodies touch and she looks up at him with a soft blush and affectionate smile, he feels his heart skip a beat. Surely she doesn't actually like him. As the sun sets, they sit quietly at the train station. She thanks him with a beaming smile, saying how much fun she had today. He, blushing, admits he enjoyed himself too. Gazing at her happy face, he shyly suggests they visit the beach again someday. She's surprised at first, which sends him into a mini panic, but then she smiles warmly, sits beside him, holds his hand, and gently tucks his hair behind his ear, agreeing to return together. Her touch stirs something deep in him. Blushing, he gathers all his courage and finally tries to confess his feelings. But just as the words leave his lips, the train screeches into the station. The noise drowns him out. She turns to him, apologizing as she didn't catch what he said. He looks at her in disbelief, then simply forces a smile and sits back down, disappointed. When she notices and asks with concern, he brushes it off with a quiet, "It's nothing." As the vacations end, on his way to school, Makoto keeps thinking about the decision he made earlier, that even if he misunderstood their relationship, he still wants to stay close to her. But now he feels hopeless and tired, silently scolding himself for not inviting her again after that beach day. Still, as he walks into the school building, a small smile appears on his face, holding on to the hope of seeing her again today. In class, he looks around desperately, eyes scanning every corner. When he finally spots her standing with her group of friends, chatting excitedly about their vacation trips, his heart jumps. She looks happy, full of life, laughing while telling stories. Just watching her from a distance brings a quiet smile to his face and calms the storm in his chest. He stands there, quietly watching her laugh with her friends, her joy making his own smile fade a little. A small wave of disappointment washes over him. She looks so happy without him. But just as he lowers his gaze, she suddenly turns slightly, making sure her friends don't notice, and gives him a quick, secret wave. His eyes widen, heart skipping a beat. That simple gesture lights him up instantly. She pauses, a little confused, as one of her friends suddenly pulls out a new autumn-themed lipstick and insists she try it on, saying it would suit her perfectly. He, standing at a distance, watches the scene unfold, his face slowly turning red as he quietly observes her every move, completely captivated. Later, as class begins and everyone else settles into the lecture, he finds it nearly impossible to focus. His eyes keep drifting back to her, every small gesture, every glance, quietly stealing all his attention. He puzzles over his own state, quietly wondering why she looks even prettier today. Maybe he thinks it's not just her looks, maybe it's because he's truly fallen for her. But just as his thoughts spiral, the lecture wraps up. She, catching him looking her way, slightly bends forward and flashes a small excited victory sign, making his heart skip. The teacher announces it's a half day and asks everyone to head home directly. As he packs his bag, a wave of disappointment washes over him, another day gone without getting the chance to speak with her. But he becomes completely shocked when she, excited and cheerful, walks up to him and suddenly asks if he went anywhere else after they spent that day at the beach together. Still flustered, he quickly denies it. Then, lowering herself onto the table's edge beside him, She sighs softly and admits, with a disappointed tone, that she didn't really do anything either after that day. Suddenly, with a curious expression, she asks why he's been looking at her all day, completely throwing him off. He feels puzzled and confused, stammers out that something is different about her today. He's genuinely shocked as he realizes she does seem a bit different. As she moves even closer, she playfully asks him to point out what's changed, making him even more flustered. His face turns bright red as he remains silent, unsure of what to say. She giggles at his reaction, clearly enjoying his embarrassment. Seeing his confused expression, she steps even closer, closes her eyes, and gently moves her lips forward as if giving him a hint, leaving him speechless and even more flustered. His comment catches him completely off guard, and he feels his face heat up as he quickly averts his gaze. His words slip out before he even realizes, and as soon as they do, he panics, feeling embarrassed and flustered. He watches her surprised reaction, her face turning crimson, and, in a rush of nerves, he grabs his bag and apologizes profusely for his awkward behavior. He waves goodbye, letting her know he's heading home. She sits there in silence, still blushing deeply, her expression a mix of surprise and something else, as she watches him leave. After a moment, she sits down on the ground, covering her face with her hands, then slowly touches her lips with a shy, excited smile, clearly feeling a mix of emotions. Later, walking home with her friends, she can't help but ask one of them where they bought the lipstick she's wearing today, feeling a little giddy about how it made her feel. On a hot day during lunch, Mako-chan sits by the window, resting his head on his hand and gazing out at the sky. The heat is unbearable, but the breeze blowing through the window feels refreshing. The curtains move gently, and he enjoys the feeling so much that, without realizing it, he raises his hands and excitedly shouts, "Wind, blow harder." Sakurai-san hears him and laughs, teasing him about the heat. Mikoto-kun, surprised, turns around and asks if she really heard him. He's even more embarrassed when she mimics his actions, making him blush. Still flustered, he asks why she's there during lunchtime, and Sakurai-san laughs again, reminding him playfully, "Doesn't this feel just like before the summer vacation?" He blushes, now aware of how familiar everything feels, and he looks away, a mix of embarrassment and amusement on his face. She, with an excited and blushed face, asks him if he now has the right answer to why she is with him, even though it's lunchtime. Her question catches him off guard, making him hesitate. He has a slight idea of why he's here with her, but he's unsure how to answer. Struggling, he tries his best to give her a response, but ends up failing. He looks away, feeling disappointed. She stands up, then kneels close to his chair, asking if he wants a hint to help him figure it out. As she moves even closer, she whispers in his ear about the reason for her being with him, and this sends him into a deep state of fluster. However, she is shocked when, in a panic, he immediately closes his eyes and, feeling overwhelmed, grabs her by the shoulders, moving her away from him. He apologizes, asking her to wait a little longer while he tries to figure out the answer on his own. She is left stunned by his sudden reaction, unsure of what just happened. She immediately looks away, which makes him feel worried. But then, in a sudden move, she turns back toward him and gently places lip balm on his lips as a hint, making him blush deeply and sweat from the shock. He tries his best to figure out the answer, feeling overwhelmed by the closeness and her unexpected gesture. She smiles at him, a little blushed herself, and playfully suggests that he should quickly figure out the answer, or else she will just tell him instead of letting him wait any longer. Her affectionate smile makes him feel even more flustered, and she adds that it would make her happy if he keeps his promise to figure it out soon. Before he can respond, their conversation is interrupted by her friend calling her from the lunchroom, holding their lunchboxes. She smiles at him, waves goodbye, and wishes to meet him again. He stands there stunned, his finger still touching his lips, now covered in the lip balm she had applied. He watches her leave, still feeling the effects of the encounter, unsure of what just happened. She, after leaving the room, takes support from the wall, still holding the lip balm affectionately as if it's a big hint. She waves her hand lightly to calm herself down, trying to regain composure. It's early morning, and he is cleaning the classroom, erasing the blackboard and placing the duster back where it belongs. After finishing, he feels relaxed, enjoying the quiet moment of having the classroom clean. As he removes his jacket, feeling the warmth after his work and a little sweaty, he's suddenly shocked to see Sakurai-san excitedly approaching him. She asks why he's in the classroom so early, and he casually mentions that it's his duty to clean the class. She smiles and places her hands on her cheeks, looking at him affectionately, and asks if he always comes this early. He awkwardly dismisses the question and instead asks her why she's here so early. With a calm and affectionate gaze, she answers that she just came to see him, which immediately causes him to blush deeply, flustered by her words. Then, out of nowhere, she asks if she can wear his winter uniform, which he had placed on the desk earlier. He is about to stop her, but before he can, she excitedly and affectionately grabs the uniform and starts putting it on him. He hesitates, feeling nervous because it's his, but she's too quick, and before he knows it, she's dressed in it and asks him what he thinks of it, her face flushed as she eagerly waits for his response. Makoto, feeling embarrassed and flustered, requests that Sakurai-san immediately remove his winter uniform, explaining that he had been sweating earlier, so his jacket might smell. However, Sakurai-san, with an affectionate smile, sniffs his jacket and excitedly declares that it smells similar to him. This only makes him more embarrassed, and he starts to panic even more. When she offers him her jersey to wear, he quickly denies it, feeling too flustered. She, initially irritated by his refusal, then shifts to a more emotional and sad tone as she asks if he doesn't want to try wearing it. His confusion grows, and he watches her with a puzzled expression. She places her hand over her mouth, trying to hold back laughter, but soon bursts into a fit of giggles, tears forming in her eyes from laughing so hard at his reaction. Once she calms down, still with a smile full of excitement, she confesses that she really loves the scent of his jacket's sleeve. She then comes closer, holding his cheeks gently, and teasingly asks if he also wants to smell her scent, her face turning a deep crimson as she waits for his response. The proximity makes him blush deeply, feeling flustered and panicked. In broken words, he manages to blurt that it's great. His response excites her even more as she happily suggests that she really should give him her jersey. This leaves him even more embarrassed, and he immediately denies it again. She, amused by his reaction, playfully throws his own jacket onto his face, laughing at how flustered he looks. Then, with a playful smile, she bends down slightly and wishes him a cheerful good morning. At first he doesn't fully understand, still flustered from the entire situation. But after a moment he smiles and, with a hint of embarrassment, wishes her back, grateful for the light-hearted exchange. As the school festival is in full swing, with a huge crowd of students decorating the walls and setting up stalls, Makoto-kun is walking down the corridor, holding a heavy box. He overhears a group of girls chatting excitedly about their visit to different stalls and decides to head to Yuki's place for tapioca. Hearing this, Makoto-kun gets the idea to invite her to join him at the school festival. But before he can act on the thought, he's shocked when she suddenly appears, excitedly approaching him. Without waiting for him to put down the heavy box, she eagerly suggests that he follow her. He's still trying to carry the box, hesitates, thinking he needs to take it off first. However, she, not listening to his protest, playfully pushes him from behind, urging him to follow her, leaving him both confused and flustered as he tries to keep up with her energy. It's the evening time at school, and as he moves forward, he curiously asks Sakurai-san where they are going. But before he can get an answer, she playfully pushes him toward the stairs. He becomes worried, realizing it's prohibited to go up there. She just laughs it off, assuring him that it's not an issue. When they reach the top, Sakurai-san opens the door, and he, nervous, closes his eyes in fear of what might happen. But as the door opens, a soft light spills over his face. He hesitantly looks up and is immediately mesmerized by the breathtaking scenery of the sky, the sun slowly setting, casting beautiful hues of orange and pink. The view captivates him, and for a moment he forgets his worries, lost in the tranquil beauty of the moment. Sakurai-san, noticing the open door, peeks through it and seeing the beautiful weather outside, excitedly decides to show Makoto-kun. As he places the box down to take in the moment, he realizes that he never had the chance to come here before due to the mostly closed door. The view outside is so peaceful, and he can't help but feel grateful for this unexpected moment. With a blush on her face, Sakurai-san eagerly asks him to stop talking, her heart racing with excitement. He, puzzled by her sudden change in demeanor, looks at her curiously. She then asks about his duties during the festival, and when he informs her that he's part of the stage crew and has a break at noon, her excitement grows. She happily shares that she has her break at the same time, which makes her even more eager. Holding on to the railing, she quickly rushes to him, expressing her curiosity and excitement about seeing the play, the haunted house, and visiting the crepe stall where the girls are selling them. He, flustered and embarrassed, looks at her with a puzzled expression, unsure whether or not he should invite her to join him. As Sakurai-san affectionately gazes into his eyes, she casually informs him about the couple's event at the festival. He is caught off guard when she smiles and comes closer, whispering that confessing to someone during the festival supposedly increases the success rate. His face turns even more embarrassed, and she quickly adds that it's just a rumor, but her smile only deepens his confusion. Then, with a playful yet shy expression, she silently asks if he wants to be confessed to, or if he would prefer to confess to someone. Mikoto-kun, deeply puzzled and overwhelmed by her proximity, tries to process her question, but feeling exhausted, asks the same question back to her. Sakurai-san is initially surprised, but then she smiles and blushes, holding the railing affectionately and looking at him. Just before either of them can say anything more, they both freeze, shocked and frightened when they hear the sound of the teacher's voice coming from the stairs. He becomes anxious and worried, immediately thinking they need to hide. She, in a quick motion, grabs his hand and pulls him behind the stairs wall. They crouch there, holding their breath as the teachers arrive on the rooftop. The teachers are discussing the exact position of the banner, while she, sitting very close to him, quietly apologizes for being so near. The tension rises as the teachers continue to talk excitedly about the festival, while also mentioning how hot it is, one of them commenting that it's especially hot for older teachers. Both of them, now in an incredibly close position, try their best to remain hidden, their faces growing redder by the second as they stay as still as possible, feeling the closeness and the shared silence between them. As the teachers discuss the increasing number of students who haven't visited the rooftop, they reminisce about their own youth when they used to break the rules and sneak up to the rooftop. This conversation makes he panic, his heart racing wildly due to the close proximity of her. After several minutes of tense waiting, both of them are sweating, their faces flushed, and their hearts still beating rapidly. They finally realize the teachers are gone. She nervously peeks outside to confirm, and when she sees the coast is clear, they both exhale in relief. They smile at each other, their excitement palpable, as their hearts slowly return to a normal pace after the scare with the teachers. Both of them feel a bit dazed by the fairy tale-like moment that just happened. He, still flustered, quickly changes the topic and curiously asks what she was going to say earlier, which catches her off guard. After gathering his courage, he hesitantly invites her to join him for the school festival. She, her face flushed with excitement, shyly agrees to go with him. As she steps away from him, she hesitates for a moment, showing a slight, expectant smile, having waited for this moment. He, now deeply moved and a bit shocked, smiles back at her, his heart racing again. It's a moment they both have long awaited. It is the day of the school festival, and the atmosphere is lively as students fill the hallways with excitement, each at their designated stalls. Sakurai-san's friends are planning to visit the senior students performing in plays and try various food stalls. However, she apologizes for not joining them, explaining that she has plans with someone else. Her friends, curious and surprised, press her on who she's meeting, thinking it's her boyfriend she mentioned earlier. But she, with a bit of a downcast expression, sadly informs them that they aren't officially in a relationship yet. Her friends are shocked, teasing her for taking things so slowly. They suggest she's not making much progress with him, but she, a little unsure of his feelings, confesses that she wishes he would propose first. Her friends, sensing the deep affection she has for him, marvel at her approach, and they tease her even more, imagining sweet moments like a kiss around the campfire at the closing party. She, blushing and slightly embarrassed by their words, laughs awkwardly but can't help but glance at him as he talks to his friend nearby. Meanwhile, he is at his stall, a 2-to-1 maid cafe, where he's already cleaned up the plates and cups. He's busy thinking about how great the day has been so far and smiling at the thought of spending more time with her. Suddenly, he turns to see her approaching, and his face immediately flushes with surprise when he sees her in a waiter's outfit, holding a tray with a playful smile on her face. Her cheeks are red with shyness as she asks him what he thinks of her new look, leaving him stunned and flustered, not sure how to respond. He is flustered and confused when he awkwardly tells her that she looks cute and pretty, making her blush. Before he can ask about their plans, her friends call her away. She apologizes and promises to meet him soon, waiting cheerfully as she walks off. He exhales in relief and disappointment. It's 11 a.m., and the festival is in full swing. As she serves coffee, both exchange smiles, eagerly awaiting their break. But things take an unexpected turn when a large crowd gathers, eager to try the coffee after hearing about the beautiful girls at the cafe. He nervously asks them to form 2 lines, trying to keep order. Though it's supposed to be his break, his teammates beg him to stay longer, as others are running late. He reluctantly agrees, promising to rest later. His classmate offers a reward, but he remains worried. She faces a similar situation when her friends ask her to stay a little longer. She agrees, feeling a bit defeated. She returns to serving coffee, and with the never-ending crowd, another hour and a half slips by. Finally, around 2:40 p.m., he finishes with the last customer and steps out. Just as she rushes over, slightly breathless, she apologizes for being late, but he brushes it off, saying he just got free too, which instantly puts her at ease. Beaming, she suggests exploring the festival. When he asks where to go first, she lights up and says she's craving crepes, sharing a few more places she wants to visit. But their excitement fades as they overhear students lamenting that the crepes and most stalls are already sold out. Disappointed, they fall silent until she offers a small, knowing smile, revealing she had a feeling this would happen. Surprised, he meets her eyes, then quietly takes her hand. With a hopeful grin, he suggests they go explore anyway. Maybe there's still something special waiting. Students glance their way in shock as the two, hand in hand, slip into the crowd, quietly stealing the spotlight. Suddenly, she freezes in place, eyes wide as she realizes he's still holding her hand. A deep blush spreads across her cheeks from the unexpected intimacy. When he turns back, a bit concerned, and asks if something's wrong, she quickly shakes her head, then gives a shy smile, her face now completely crimson. Her sudden shift leaves him surprised, but when their eyes meet, he can't help but smile too, his own cheeks turning pink. Still gently holding her hand, he casually wonders if the tapioca stand is open. She nods, and they both eagerly head off to check. They finally pass through the wrap-up party crowd, feeling satisfied that they at least managed to enjoy the tapioca stand. As they weave through the bustling area, their attention is drawn to a girl hesitating at the edge of the crowd. Her friend gently pushes her forward, encouraging her to step up. Her boyfriend is about to confess in front of everyone. The girl looks embarrassed, clearly lacking the courage, but her friend's soft motivation nudges her forward. Watching them, Sakurai-san smiles, realizing it's a confession event unfolding. With a hopeful tone, she glances at him and asks if he plans to confess to anyone. He flinches and immediately denies it, saying he doesn't have the guts for something like that. She gives a small, disappointed smile but still holds his hand, deciding to just enjoy talking with him. Still holding hands, she cheerfully suggests they sit on the grassy ground. He nods, still blushing while watching her with quiet admiration. As they settle down, they talk about how their cafe suddenly became so crowded. She sighs and admits she had actually planned to explore the festival with him afterward. Her words catch him off guard, and his puzzled expression leaves her a bit disheartened, thinking he doesn't feel the same way. She hides her face in her hands, mumbling her disappointment. He grows nervous, unsure how to respond, but then she peeks through her fingers and grins, teasing, too shocked. He stares, realizing she's just messing with him. She winks playfully, her cheeks flushed, and finally drops her hands with a bright smile as he catches on to her little act. Seeing her laughing face, he exhales with relief. She really scared him for a moment. But when she calmly adds that she genuinely expected this date, he turns bright red, caught off guard by her honesty. Before he can respond, she softly mentions that the festival is ending soon. Around them, most students look disappointed, but the mood shifts when a girl at the wrap-up party boldly confesses to a boy, asking him out. The boy accepts, the crowd erupts into cheers, and the newly formed couple takes blushing, happy selfies. She recognizes the girl and lights up with excitement over the confession. Watching the couple, she blushes and shyly asks for his thoughts on dating. He looks confused, so she bashfully explains that to her, dating is all about having fun, eating lunch together, walking to school hand in hand, even if couples fight sometimes. But overall, she thinks it's beautiful. Her words leave him stunned as he silently watches her glowing smile. When she notices his puzzled expression, she blushes even harder and asks if he has any doubts about what she said. He freezes, unable to reply. Before he can speak, she stands up and reminds him about the place she once mentioned, where confessions have a 100% success rate. Realizing they're standing in that exact spot, he turns crimson. With his heart pounding, he gathers his courage, stands up, and steps toward her. Just as he opens his mouth to confess, her friends suddenly pop out of the bushes. Smiling awkwardly and clearly confused, they quickly apologize and retreat. She fumes, clearly annoyed. When he nervously calls her name, she raises a hand to stop him, wanting a moment of silence. They sit side by side, wordless, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Trying to break the awkward tension, she suddenly suggests, with a shy smile, that they go dance for a little more fun. Meanwhile, her friends feel guilty for interrupting at the worst moment and a bit nervous about her reaction. Though glad to see the two growing closer, they decide to stay quiet and hold off on their cake apology. The classroom buzzes with noise as students scramble to arrange their seats, some happily claiming front row spots. The teacher, slightly annoyed, reminds everyone to stay quiet since other lectures are still ongoing. At the back, he finds his usual seat and, without thinking, shouts out in excitement. The teacher immediately scolds him and tells the class to settle down quickly during the break. Just then, he freezes in shock as she walks over, holding her desk. With a soft, blushing smile, she announces that she's sitting next to him today. Her affectionate gaze leaves him panicked and flustered. After the break, as the lecture begins, he tries hard to focus, but her eyes remain fixed on him. Suddenly, she leans closer and whispers excitedly, asking him to move his book toward her. As he obeys, she wastes no time sliding her desk right next to his, so close that their arms touch. He turns red, overwhelmed by the closeness, but tries to keep his eyes on the board. Just then, she leans in and whispers something near his ear, making him yelp in surprise. While the class attentively follows the lecture, Sakurai hides her face behind her arms, giggling quietly. With a soft smile, she apologizes, claiming she thought it would be fun for him. But when she sees Makoto's exhausted expression, she teases him again about his super-sensitive ears. Flustered, he protests loudly, insisting his ears aren't sensitive. Anyone would be shocked if someone suddenly blew in their ear. She smirks, leans closer, and playfully asks if she really blew that suddenly. Then, with a mischievous grin, she warns him to prepare because she's going to do it again. She slowly leans in toward his ear, lips parting, and just as his heart races wildly, instead of blowing, she gently bites his ear. He yelps, totally unprepared, and drops his head onto the desk in defeat. She bursts into laughter, clearly enjoying his flustered state. Resting her chin on her arms, cheeks tinged pink, she looks at him and asks how it felt, adding that if she were in his place, her heart would have been pounding too. Then, with innocent eyes and a rosy smile, she brushes her hair back and softly asks if he wants to try it on her. He freezes, face sweating, then slowly leans in and blows into her ear. She immediately squeals and turns away in embarrassment, hiding her face with her back to him. Confused by her reaction, he teasingly says her ears must be sensitive too. Flustered and red-faced, she shouts back that she expected a bite, not a blow, and that's why her reaction was so sudden. At that moment, the teacher sternly calls out to both of them, telling them to keep quiet. It's winter and snow blankets everything. He, bundled up in warm clothes, walks to school through the chilly morning. Suddenly, two hands reach from behind and tug on his cheeks, making him yelp in shock. He quickly turns around only to see her giggling brightly, wishing him a cheerful good morning. He greets her back, still rubbing his cheeks, and half-jokingly tells her not to sneak up like that again, or she might give him a heart attack. She laughs, unfazed, and raises her bare hands to apologize, explaining she forgot her gloves at home. Noticing his hands are also bare, she curiously asks if he's not feeling cold. In response, he pulls one hand out of his pocket to reveal a hand warmer. Her eyes light up with excitement as she steps closer, trying to take it, but he immediately pulls it away, refusing to hand it over. At first she pouts in annoyance, but then a mischievous smile forms on her face, making him a little nervous. Before he can react, she suddenly slips her hand into his coat pocket where the warmer is. Flustered, he stammers and tries to stop her, but she insists with a sweet grin that it's totally fine, as he is not giving her the warmer after all. Their hands brush inside the pocket, and while he turns crimson with embarrassment, she simply enjoys the moment with a blush and a smile. As they sit at the train station, Hayasaku approaches them with a cheerful good morning, causing both of them to panic and quickly pull their hands from their pockets. She, curious, asks why Hayasaku is up so early, to which she explains that she has morning practice. Then, with equal curiosity, Hayasaku inquires why Sakurai is also so early. The two girls chat while Makoto remains distracted, staring at his hands. After Hayasaku leaves, she excitedly returns to him and suggests they head to school. As they walk together, they both attempt to hold hands. She blows gently on her hands to keep them warm in the cold. Seeing this, he pulls out his hand warmer but hesitates and puts it back. However, he is surprised when she quickly places her hand back in his pocket, a victorious smile crossing her face at the warmth. Instead of holding the hand warmer, she grabs his hand, making him blush deeply, his cheeks turning crimson. They continue walking, his heart racing from the closeness. Near the school, amidst a crowd, She silently removes her hand from his pocket, thanking him for the warmth. As she prepares to leave, he, concerned, tries to give her the hand warmer, noticing she might be colder. She smiles playfully, gently places both her hands on his cheeks and blushes, teasing that if she feels cold again, she might touch his face once more. With a wink, she quickly runs off, calling out that she'll see him in class. Standing still, he takes a moment to process the act, then exhales deeply with a smile, glancing at the hand warmer in his hand. During the Christmas season, it's lunchtime at school. While Makoto calmly eats his lunch, his exhausted friend sighs about wishing for a cute, caring girlfriend. Out of nowhere, the friend suddenly asks if he has something going on with Sakurai. Startled, he ends up nearly spitting his beverage on his friend's face. Without even reacting to the awkward moment, the friend repeats his question, much more curious now. Flustered, he panics and demands to know why he's even thinking that way. His friend casually explains that they're always together lately. He quickly defends himself, insisting she is just friendly with everyone. But his friend, now casually munching on his food again, half-jokingly wonders if Sakurai likes him. Then, with a sigh, he wishes once again for a girlfriend of his own. Meanwhile, Sakurai is cheerfully combing her friend's hair, resting her head in her lap. Though the friend tries to protest, saying she's eating, Sakurai just teases her about changing her shampoo, grinning as the others giggle and playfully swing her hair around. Watching them laugh from afar, he falls into quiet thought, unsure whether she is just that kind to everyone, or if maybe, just maybe, he's a little special. Just as he's about to leave for school, he hears a familiar voice echo through the courtyard. Curious, Makoto glances over and freezes. It's Takahisa-kun, casually walking up to her. With a playful grin, Takahisa questions why she's alone, teasing that she's usually surrounded by her trio of friends. She chuckles, brushing it off with a light remark that she's not exactly glued to them all the time. Sitting beside her, he shifts the topic, asking more about her friends, and in return, she curiously asks why he's not with Makoto-kun today. Watching them from a corner, Makoto ducks behind the wall, his chest tightening. So she talks to everyone like this, maybe he is not that different after all, he thinks bitterly. Then Takahisa's attention drifts to her drink. She mentions it's her favorite energy oolong tea, and even suggests he try it sometime. When he laughs and jokingly asks for a sip, Makoto's breath catches. A vivid memory flashes in his mind. Sakurai once offered him the same drink. His heart sinks, convinced now that the offer wasn't special. Despite Takahisa's light coaxing, Sakurai simply smirked, her tone playful yet firm. She casually guarded the bottle, making it clear it was hers. Makoto blinks in disbelief, startled and a little relieved. The two continue walking and chatting, directly toward where he's hiding. Panicked, Makoto bolts without a second thought, completely unaware that Sakurai had already spotted him. Outside the school in the park, he gazes at the sky, lost in thought, recalling when she offered him a sip from her drink. The gesture brings a shy smile to his face, his cheeks flushing as he realizes he's truly special to her. But just as he processes this, he's caught off guard when she suddenly approaches him. Holding the same drink, she shyly admits that she's noticed him all along and has decided to go home with him. She sits very close to him on the bench, and as she takes a sip, she asks if he's heading home or has other plans. Then, after removing the straw from her mouth, she offers him a sip. He's stunned, his disbelief clear. Seeing his astonished expression, she leans in close and whispers in his ear that he's special to her, and that's why she shares the drink with him, a symbol of their shared love. This leaves him blushing deeply, confused by how much she really likes him. To confirm, he stammers a question, but she simply smiles, her face flushed, and signals for him to stay quiet. His surprise grows even more, and his heart races as he processes what just happened. A few days later, Sakurai-san, looking worried, approaches Mako-chan, asking for his help in preparing for the final exams. His surprise is evident, especially at how close she is when she requests it. But he agrees, feeling relieved when she seems glad. She quickly pushes him to start, and they leave the school, walking together. When they reach her house, he suddenly stops, shocked. She invites him in and leads him inside, suggesting he sit anywhere while she grabs some things. As she leaves, he looks around the room, unsure where to sit. His eyes land on her bed, and his mind races with bold thoughts. Annoyed, he shakes his head, loudly reminding himself of his mission, to help her study. But the sight of the room keeps distracting him. His mind spirals again, and he sweats, frustrated with his thoughts. Just then, she returns, apologizing for being late and offering him refreshments. He quickly sits on the floor near the table, thanking her. She notices his strange expression and asks if he's okay. He forces a smile and brushes it off. She then casually mentions that they can make as much noise as they want since they're alone at home. The thought makes him flustered. Despite his internal distractions, he agrees to study with her, although he's not fully focused. It's nearly 6 p.m., and although he's trying, her cuteness keeps distracting him, especially when he notices her playfully putting the pen to her lips. He looks at his notebook, trying to focus, but frustration builds up as he stretches his face in irritation and shouts that he can't concentrate on studying. The room falls silent as she blushes and admits that her heart is pounding because of his presence in her room. While he feels happy about this, he reluctantly shares his unease, admitting that it's his first time in any girl's room. Both sit silently, their faces flushed, feeling the weight of the situation. As time passes, his curiosity gets the better of him when he notices some pictures on the wall. She confirms they're her photos and allows him to take a closer look. As he lies on the bed to get a better view, she suddenly remembers that his picture is also on the wall. She flusters, rushing over to him, warning him not to look. In the midst of the struggle, he accidentally glances back, and in her rush to stop him, she slips. Both of them lose their balance, causing her to fall onto the bed with him on top. They lie there, both embarrassed and silent, their cheeks reddening. They exchange shy glances, nearly losing control as they get closer. But just as their faces almost touch, her mother unexpectedly peeks through the door, smiling. She stops them from going any further, making both of them freeze in surprise. The mother playfully smiles at Makoto-kun, teasing them about how much her daughter talks about him. Sakurai-san, red-faced and flustered, quickly shouts at her mother to stop, while Makoto is still in shock, unable to process what just happened. Her mother, happily smiling and clearly enjoying the awkwardness between them, invites them downstairs to dinner, also warmly inviting him to join. At the dining table, a variety of delicious foods are laid out. Makoto, sweating nervously, feels the weight of Sakurai-san's father's serious gaze on him. Meanwhile, her mother happily comments on her husband's early arrival. As everyone eats, Makoto awkwardly looks down, his face flushed with embarrassment, trying to hide his nervousness. As Makoto sits down for dinner with Sakurai-san's family, everyone is enjoying the meal, but he feels the weight of her father's angry stare, making him nervous and scared. His anxiety grows when Sakurai-san, using her chopsticks, fills his mouth with food and blushing, asks for his thoughts. Flushed and sweating with awkwardness, he nervously glances at her father, who clenches his fists in anger. But Sakurai-san, undeterred by the tension, holds another piece of food and gently asks him to open his mouth. He immediately refuses, feeling even more embarrassed. Her mother, clearly enjoying the situation, asks if he's nervous because she is feeding him. Sakurai, blushing with excitement, asks if her mother is right, and he, flustered and panicked, admits it, which makes her even happier. Her mother, noticing the similarity between Makoto and her husband, comments on it, but Sakurai quickly corrects her, insisting he's not like that. Then her mother teasingly asks if Sakurai has feelings for someone, which makes her blush deeply as she looks at him. He panics, terrified by the question, while her mother enjoys their reactions. Sakurai, still wanting to feed him, offers him another bite, but he hesitates, trying to stop her, insisting that he can feed himself. However, she places the food in his mouth anyway, and her father, who has been silently watching everything, calmly closes his eyes. After the meal, as both women are doing the dishes, the two men sit together, quietly enjoying their drinks. As they drink in silence, Sakurai-san's father suddenly calls out to Makoto and asks for his thoughts on the meal. Makoto, feeling panicked and confused, hesitantly compliments the deliciousness of the food. Her father calmly expresses his surprise, noting that she has never brought anyone home before. He also hints that perhaps Sakurai-san might have feelings for him. He hesitates, unsure of how to respond. Her father places the glass down on the table, and, with a hint of sadness, comments that she's just like her mother and asks if he's causing trouble for her. Makoto quickly reassures him that it's not a problem and calmly explains how they first met, when she offered him a drink. He also expresses his confusion over her feelings for him. Then he shares that they've been hanging out and studying together, which seems to confirm that she really likes him. He talks about how much fun he's having with her and enjoying her company. Her father exhales softly, as if processing this new information. At that exact moment, Sakurai excitedly approaches them from behind and, standing very close, asks what they've been talking about. This catches Makoto off guard. Her father teasingly responds that they've been discussing her childhood stories, which causes her to tense up and stop him from continuing, making Makoto laugh. As her mother excitedly joins her husband, they share many stories about Sakuya, laughing as they recount her early school days. Sakurai, feeling embarrassed, shouts loudly at her parents to stop, which only amuses them further. Makoto watches this adorable family bonding, his face flushed with embarrassment. In an attempt to stop her mother, she impulsively places a hand over her mouth, which only makes him laugh nervously, blushing even more. After their lively conversation, Makoto prepares to leave the house. As he thanks Sakurai-san for inviting him, she eagerly invites him to visit anytime, apologizing for her family's antics. When Makoto calmly compliments her lovely family, she beams with happiness and excitement. Before he leaves, Sakurai-san watches him in silence, then hesitantly mentions the winter break after exams. She catches him off guard when she steps close, suggesting they go out together. She shyly punches his coat, asking about his plans, and when he agrees, she punches the air in excitement, her motivation now focused on doing well in her exams. Back at home, Sakurai-san's mother rests her head on her husband's shoulder, happily reflecting on how her daughter is growing up with the same relationship dynamics she shares with her husband. She leans in close to whisper something in his ear, which startles him, leaving her both surprised and blushing. This reaction mirrors their children's, and it makes her wonder if he feels the same way. Meanwhile, outside, Sakurai-san waves excitedly at Makoto, her happiness contagious.